Hello and welcome to our last week of our Theology 1 class, and this is a week that you get to explore some topic that you personally enjoy. And yes, in the background, that is my study buddy. We call her Bobby. She's 6 years old and weighs just about 8 pounds, but she hunkers down with me here in the bedroom that I use for my study from week to week. So anyway, just wanted to introduce you to her. That is Bobby Girl. And there she is. She's giving you a good look. All right. Well, anyway, just wanted to let you know that this is the week that you can use kind of like as a free play and explore something that has been a topic of interest to you. Maybe there's something in your ministry, or maybe something just that you have personally that you want to work with and dig into. I don't know if you got a chance to look last week. I mentioned to you about the Center for Faith, Gender, and Sexuality by Preston Sprinkle. And I mentioned that again to you at this point just to just to offer an illustration of what I'm saying. You know, here is a New Testament scholar who really got interested in and decided that for the sake of the church and his own professional work, he would dig into this topic of faith and gender and sexuality, and really has it has taken on a life of its own. And these are the kinds of opportunities in a class like Theology 1, when you get sort of a free pass, you can dig into a topic or an area of interest, and who knows, it might eventually roll out into a doctorate, it might roll out into a ministry project, or it might roll out into just an area that of passion that becomes an area of expertise for you in your work and in your ministry of the Word. So what to do is look through journals. Now, I don't know if you have access to a library or if you have digital access to journals through your Logos Bible software package, but I'm thinking of two in particular that you should take a look at. That would be the Journal of the Evangelical Theological Society, or JETS as it's referred to, and it is published by the society that is pretty much on the conservative side of things. And then of course you have the other, which would be the Institute of Biblical Research, or IBR. That would be another journal. That journal is focused principally on Old and New Testament studies. JETS is focused a little bit more broadly on both biblical studies as well as theological studies. And then of course on the far end of the spectrum would be the Journal of Biblical Literature, which would be more of an the broadly evangelical world, a little bit more liberal in its thinking and its theology. But anyway, then also Detroit Seminary puts out a journal. Maybe you have access to the Galaxy software package, which has a collection, probably about 25 or more journals in them. So here's the idea. The idea is get into those journals, look over the indices, find a couple of topics or a couple of journal articles that will total about 150 pages, and focus in on something that relates to the topics that we've been discussing over the past 5-6 weeks. So maybe there's an area of prolegomena that you'd like to dig in a little bit further. So you heard Bird make his presentation, or I shouldn't say you read Bird and his presentation on how he feels like the gospel is the first step that helps us organize all of our thinking about theology. Then of course you've got the Doctrine of God, Theology Proper. There's much that you could read, particularly in this year of the 500th anniversary of the Scriptures, on bibliology. Then hamartiology, the doctrine of sin, anthropology. And again, I gave you a little bit of an illustration of, okay, take the doctrine of man, sin, and see how it then applies to the current day conversation about gender, sexuality, faith, etc. And then the other one that is far less discussed would be angelology, and maybe there's something there that you might be interested in doing a little bit more research on. But now, for an example of what I'm looking for, the assignment is a 3 to 5 page review of a journal article. Now, in each journal, you will find in the back, at the end of each journal, you will find book reviews. All right, so those book reviews will give you a little bit of an idea of how to write a review of a journal article that you're about to read. So think about it in 3 parts. All right, so when you construct this review, this 3 to 5 page entry that you're going to submit, think about it this way. All right, the first thing I want to know is summarize for me as clearly and succinctly as you can what was the article about. Just rehearse, what did you read? What was the content? Then secondly, try to, as objectively as you can, evaluate that content, based upon what you've read. And maybe you don't know, maybe you feel like, well, I can't do that. I'm just getting started in my biblical studies. How am I ever going to evaluate the work of a biblical scholar who's been at this all of his life? Well, take what you know and ask questions, evaluate, compare other journal articles on a similar topic and just see what they're saying about it. And then the third movement, think about, all right, how would I use this material in life or in the life of the church or in ministry? So think about some point of application that you can make with the reading material that you are investing in for this particular assignment. So, okay, 3 movements. Tell me what it read. Tell me what you read. What did it say? Tell me, number 2, what do you think about it? And evaluate it, positively, negative. Think about strengths, weaknesses of it. Look for problems with it. And then thirdly, tell me how you think you could use it in your life or the life of the church. So those would be the 3 topics, or the 3 sort of movements that you can follow as an outline for constructing this 3 to 5 page review that is due next Monday. All right. So finally, a couple of details just to keep in mind, housekeeping details. Sent you an email to summarize the week, and what you need to focus on. Number 1 is make sure you get your student course professor review completed. Submit that. Piedmont Temple Seminary, they do a great job at making good use of this material and giving us professors feedback on your input and your responses to these particular things. Second, make sure that you've completed all of your assignments. And as I said in the email, I've set up each assignment for multiple submissions, and I've kept them open until the end of October. Third, I want to make sure that you have acknowledged your reading. And each week there's a reading assignment. Click on that. It's 1 question, true or false. Did you do the reading for this particular week? And again, the assignment was 150 pages, and so I'm looking for you to respond to that. That's a key element in your grade, so please don't overlook that. Make sure that gets properly submitted so that I can submit your grade to the registrar. All right, so that needs to be completed. And then there is a little bit of information, or I was corresponding with one of you about the quizzes. In one of the early videos, I told you about these quizzes, told you they were coming, told you you couldn't study for them, and told you basically they were general knowledge type questions. 5 questions, some were true and false, some were multiple choice, and I just wanted to see how you would do based on what you're reading. And so they all are, well, 3 of them are placed in week 6, so make sure you take some time to respond to those. That's also a piece of your grade that needs to be submitted so that I can close out the grade book on your particular work for this semester. So thank you again for your patience with me during the course of this presentation of Theology 1. Thoroughly enjoyed my own reading and thinking about this, and have enjoyed opportunities to interact with you as students, and want God's richest blessings on you as you continue your course of theological studies, and if God wills, we'll have opportunity to meet again in another class. So thank you very, very much.